Nearly 30 years have passed since the rage virus ravaged the UK, and the country has been quarantined ever since. The remaining survivors have learned to live alongside the virus, forming small but functional communities. In one community on a small island, it's time for a rite of passage for the young Spike. This only gets Spike curious about the mainland, especially when he hears tell of a doctor, something his community, as well as his mother, desperately need. This is 28 years later. 28 years later is the long-awaited sequel to 28 Weeks Later, which was the sequel to 28 Days Later. They just kinda skipped months, I guess. But this had to be one of my most anticipated horror films of the year. For plenty of reasons, but the one that really interested me was the fact that it was shot on an iPhone. So much so, I'm shooting this review on an iPhone. So if it looks a little off, that's why. But that wasn't the only reason why I was excited and interested in this film, and I was right to be. 28 years later is bloody brilliant. In a time where the dark and gritty zombie subgenre reigns supreme with the likes of The Last of Us and The Walking Dead, Danny Boyle returns to his own with an amazing film. This is the ideal continuation of the 28 franchise. I'm actually not too sure what to call its franchise name, so I'm just gonna go with that. But the way it shows us how the UK has adapted and evolved alongside the rage virus is super interesting and entertaining. Now, the cast of this film is beyond impressive in multiple ways. Aaron Taylor-Johnson having this film immediately after having Nosferatu is the best possible way I think he can apologize for being in Kraven the Hunter. Am I wrong? He's great, but he's not the main character of the film. The star of the film is Alfie Williams as Spike, the main kid of the film that you're following the entire time. This is his coming-of-age story, and he knocks it out of the frickin' park in every scene. I truly cannot wait to see more of his story, because it's quite interesting. The great performances don't stop there either, because you got Jodie Comer and Ralph Fiennes, both of which delivering two fantastic supporting performances. Ralph Fiennes, in particular, being a fantastic supporting character. That was like the last thing I expected from this character, but man, was he awesome. I'm also a big fan of the actual infection that has plagued the UK for 28 years. It isn't technically a zombie movie, but you call it a zombie movie and people will know what you mean. The rage virus is a lot like if the simian flu from Planet of the Apes acted like whatever Samuel L. Jackson was doing in Kingsman. Remember how everyone was like angry with one another? That. Or, come to think of it, even the virus from Resident Evil 4 and 5. Because those weren't zombies either. The way the film shows how those infected with the virus have adapted and evolved in the 28 years is super interesting to me. It's nothing too groundbreaking, but it's effective and it works. The surviving infected have reverted to a primitive state in the past 28 years. Becoming feral animals that hunt in packs with an alpha. And that also means they don't particularly care for clothes. Especially the alpha infected, who is hung like a fucking horse. I am not kidding when I say it was hard to look away whenever the alpha was on screen, because that thing was gigantic. That thing could fill up an entire IMAX screen. I'm so glad this movie wasn't in 3D because no one would be able to handle all 28 inches, that's guy measurements by the way, coming at them like that. If the infected humans in this movie actually wore clothes, he would probably have to wrap it around his waist like a belt.
Oh, whoops, oh, I dropped my monster condom that I used for my Magnum Dong.
Why was it so big? Seriously, I was at a loss for words. Like, I was impressed, but I also feel kind of inadequate.
That's quite big. Impressive.
Okay, that's enough being blown away by the zombie cock. Let's get back to the review. The infected aren't the only ones who have adapted and evolved in the past 28 years. I'm gonna be saying that a lot, but can you blame me? It's the name of the movie. The survivors have built working communities that seem really content with the world they're living in. I can't necessarily say I would want to live in it. Far from it, actually, but hey, What works, works. The film also shows that different people have taken different approaches to adapting over these years. Ralph Fiennes' character is a great example of that, and there's also another thing, but I won't spoil that. It's actually a great legacy sequel, in a sense of the word. No one from the original film is in this movie. The film also has some pretty noticeable tonal shifts throughout it. Something that surprised me when watching 28 Days Later was how lighthearted it was in certain moments. It's no Zombieland, but it's a lot more fun than you would expect a film that just showcases the barren wasteland of London. And this film continues that. It's nothing too crazy, but seeing the characters smile and enjoy the little things really added a lot to the film and their characters. There is a great and even funny scene that really puts into perspective just how left behind the UK is with the rest of the world. 28 years is a long time to be perpetually stuck in the year 2002. It's almost like if we could safely communicate with the people of Sentinel Island. Except they cover up more. But when the film needs to slow down and have the emotions hit, it knows when to do that. I never expected the giant Tower of Skulls to be the scene where I begin to well up, but man, they really managed that. Truly brilliant. But here's the thing. Now, as I mentioned, I was really interested when I heard this film was shot on an iPhone. That's the perfect evolution from the original, which was also shot on a readily available camera. Both this film and the original have found footage vibes to me, minus any motion sickness I get watching Paranormal Activity. I'm actually extremely glad we've moved past those movies. Now, going back to tonal shifts and how different people have lived their lives differently in these 28 years, the ending is something else. This film takes a complete 180 and it's either gonna be a love it or hate it kind of thing. I was more than into it. I think it made total sense in context of the movie and surprised the absolute hell out of me. I do wish it was an after credits scene. I do imagine it would be more digestible for other people had that been the case, but for me, I was more than into it, and I'm really interested to see where this goes. I really cannot begin to talk about it without spoiling it, so I won't. Aside from the ending being super interesting, the whole film more than makes me interested in a part 2, which we're getting, directed by Nia DaCosta. Hopefully this will make up for the Marvel's bombing, because I kinda like that movie. The 28 franchise is quickly becoming one of my favorite zombie-ish franchises out there. And I more than have this film to thank for that, and I highly recommend it. I hope you all enjoyed this review, and if you did, please consider hitting that like button, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified when my next review drops. Until next time, I'm Quint Dunaway, hoping you will keep it cinematic.